I'm Abby Stein, and I am a freshman at Clemson University. Um, I attended on November 13th from 11 to 1 the student dialogue called The Game of Life, an exploration of socioeconomic status. This video summit was an opportunity for Library 100 students to kind of voice their opinions, thoughts, kind of concerns um, about the dialogue that we attended. We were asked to answer a few questions. So the first one, do you feel your group achieved true dialogue? Why or why not? I feel my group did not really achieve true dialogue. We achieved dialogue that was suiting for the facilitators to kind of move on from that topic and go to the next kind of segment. Um, and as soon as someone in the group kind of got the answer they were looking for, we just went on to something next. It wasn't really like we were building off of each other and like creating like a sense of dialogue um, together. Like the primary concern of a dialogue is us to lean off of each other and learn from others, from certain people's own experiences, and that really wasn't achieved. The topic was just kind of awkward. Like money is just a very awkward subject and uncomfortable, especially when you're in a group of people that 25 people that you've never known. They're complete strangers, and you just don't want to feel judged. So it's definitely really awkward. It was a very personal subject. And even people, the facilitator said, try to feel comfortable sharing, and like you don't know if what you're saying is going to leave the room. So, it really wasn't like a comfortable environment for people to kind of build off of each other and kind of learn off of each other, which is the whole point of a dialogue. The second question addresses the group dynamics. It asks about active voices, more reserved voices, and what role I played. Definitely there's some active voices in the dialogue. Um, more people right off the bat. Just kind of, naturally, some people are more comfortable sharing things than others. Um, but at one point in the dialogue, we broke up into smaller groups to kind of talk about a few things. And I think it was like 4 or 5 people. And once we were in those small groups, it kind of made talking a little bit easier because it was just a few people. But then once we got back to the bigger group, I think that's when a lot of people were a little bit more reserved before kind of spoke out a little bit more because they felt more comfortable, and they're just kind of like warmed up from talking to the small group. Definitely more reserved voices in our dialogue than active, definitely. Like I said, the topic was really reserved. Some people definitely didn't feel comfortable. I was definitely more reserved. Naturally, I'm pretty reserved, even in class, and but more so here. I don't know, the dialogue just was really uncomfortable whenever they brought up certain aspects of money and feeling really judged, because it's just a group of strangers and people from different socioeconomic classes. So it's kind of judging. You could just tell that people were judging you, just like not saying it out loud, but like in their head, they're just like, oh yeah, like they must have a lot of money. Like, oh, they don't work for anything. And like the whole time, the facilitators were saying like how you want to work for your money and stuff like that. But we are only 18. Like, yeah, I work as a hostess, but that's not going to help me pay my entire college. Like, I do need help from my parents, and there's some people in the group that were just like, oh, I pay for everything myself. I work for it. I work really hard. And it just made everyone else feel really uncomfortable um, that was on the opposite spectrum. It really wasn't building off of each other. It's kind of like, this is what I do. This is what you do. I'm right. You're wrong. Um, there's one part in the dialogue that I felt like really uncomfortable and it's definitely like discriminating against classes. Um, just like you had to stand up if something applied to you and just sit down if it didn't. And, I'm extremely privileged. My parents both have jobs. The economy's bad. Um, I live in a nice neighborhood. Um, everyone's well in my family. Um, but, I mean, it was like you're supposed to stand up. Um, like if you had your own car, if your parents paid for your gas, if your parents paid for your insurance, if your parents were paying for your tuition, if you're in a sorority or fraternity, um, if you have a job, um, like just all these certain things. And it seems like I was standing up for a lot of it. Like, yeah, my parents pay for my gas, they pay for my insurance, I have a car, they're paying for my college, they're paying for my sorority. Um, but I could just tell a lot of the people in the room for some of these things were only standing up for one or two. And it seemed like I was standing up so much that people were just kind of like looking. And there's certainly other people that were standing up a lot, but I think it just made me feel extremely uncomfortable, um, you know, to kind of be standing up so much and everyone kind of looking around. And it was like completely judging me, like completely. Didn't make me feel comfortable sharing anymore, and I definitely like didn't stand up for things that applied for me. I just don't think it was right that like it just kind of made me feel bad after the whole thing, just kind of like, oh, I'm really thankful for everything I have. I'm really blessed for everything that I have. It just made me feel like embarrassed that I'm privileged. And you know what? I appreciate that I'm privileged. I thank God that I'm privileged for everything I'm given in life. I mean, I'm grateful. I mean, for everything. Um, but the whole dialogue wasn't about like learning from socioeconomic classes. It was just all about what does everyone in this room have, and just like examples like of like showing how they do things. Like some guy in it was like, yeah, I'm paying for Clemson, yeah, I have to pay for my groceries, yeah, I have to do everything. And he was just talking about like what he does like a daily day, like, and I mean, like that's not like, like it's not a dialogue. I mean, it's just people sharing stories and everyone's like, oh no, like, you know, I don't know. It just made everyone feel really uncomfortable. Um, but the last question is about, why do you think this dialogue is a component of Library 100? Do you see the dialogue as a useful tool in your university experience? I definitely think that the dialogue was part of Library 100 to kind of get freshmen to interact with each other, different groups of people around different parts of the country, even internationally. There was people in my group that were from foreign countries, which was really interesting to see how they felt about the things being discussed. But unfortunately, they didn't really say anything. They probably felt uncomfortable. Um, but I know I take one class at Clemson, and it's political science, and we have like 2 lectures and then a discussion class. And the discussion class is just awful. It's just, who could be the loudest, who could prove their point more. Everybody's talking over each other. And I think the dialogue was definitely not like that at all. It was people talking once, um, one at a time, and listening, but it didn't work in the way that we were learning of anything. Um, but, I mean, that's how it's supposed to work, but, things don't always work as planned. Um, but this is my video log for Library 100. I'm Abigail Stein. Okay.